Is my screen visible to everyone? Okay. So we have discussed what is cost sheet. Now we will discuss the theory related to cost sheet. There are, theories related to cost sheet till I think question 23. Till 23 we have this. Let me check. Uh, this one, 24. Hmm. Till 27. So till 27, there are theory questions related to cost sheet. Today we will discuss that, and there is one more topic, cost audit. So once we will complete this, then we will move on to the practical sums. Okay. Now this one we will discuss the from question 16. So what is cost sheet? Now you people are aware how the cost sheet statement looks like. Now we will discuss the definition of it. So it is a statement designed to show the output of a particular accounting period along with breakup of cost. So what we do here, the breakup of cost is seen. That means here, prime cost is there, uh, factory cost is there, office cost is there. So these breakup we can easily see, we can calculate in the cost sheet. In other words, if we say what exactly is the meaning of a cost sheet, so it is a particular statement in which we calculate, we ascertain the cost, we also calculate the profit and the selling price of the product, and also there are different breakups which is done. So we actually get the information that how much is the direct cost, how much is the indirect cost, how much is the cost we have spent on selling and administrative overhead. So we will get to know all these basic information, so that in future if anything, any problem will happen, then we will easily use this statement and can get what exactly is the problem, and we can easily solve it. So this is cost sheet. Understood. And it is subdivided in various elements, groups, and arranged in a logical order. Once you will read the statement, it is in a proper order. Firstly, you will get, you will have to mention the raw material, then work in progress, then finished goods. In this way, it is prepared in a logical manner. Now, why we prepare the cost sheet? Now, the objectives which we have discussed, that is related to the cost accounting, the same objective is of cost sheet, because these two are not different. So, why we prepare the cost sheet? The first reason is we prepare the cost sheet because we we prepare the cost sheet because we want to ascertain what? We want to ascertain the total cost. The next thing is we want to fix the selling price. Once we will calculate, ascertain the cost, then it will be easier for us to decide how much should be the selling price of the product. And since here all the segregations are done in a proper way, so it also help us to reduce the cost. For example, if we are seeing that we found that we are spending much more on the raw material, so from the next time we will try to reduce the cost of raw material. And suppose we found that we are paying very heavy amount for carriage inward and carriage outward, so maybe we will take some measures to change this. So this is the thing. So what we will do, we ascertain the cost with the help of cost sheet. We also fix what should be the selling price and how much should be the profit with the help of cost sheet. And it also help us to control the cost. The reason is because in case when we are preparing the cost sheet, we get to know the cost we have incurred for different things, so we get the information very easily, and we can easily cut down the cost. See, it increases the efficiency. Definitely, it will increase the efficiency. The reason is once you know that this particular department is spending much more. This particular department is you know very economical. So once you will be aware of it, so people will work efficiently because they know that the entire responsibility is on them. Next is, once we are aware of all these things, that how much amount is spent by this particular department, this particular unit, then there will be less amount of wastage. Okay, and we can also prepare the budget with the help of cost sheet. So if, for example, for 2023 we want to prepare a budget, now we have a cost sheet of 2022. So with the help of 2022's cost sheet, we can prepare our budget for 2023 and we will work according to the budget. Definitely the amount we will try to, we will try to cut down the cost and we will try to do the things within the budget we have decided. So these are some objectives. Yes, these three objectives are extra. This one 5 and 6, these 3 are extra, but still you will find that most of the objectives are similar with the objective of cost accounting. Next is important thing, what is prime cost? So prime cost we have discussed. So whatever is the total of material, material means direct raw material, whatever is the total of labor and chargeable expenses. So once we will add material, labor and chargeable expenses, once we will add these three together, so we will get the prime cost. Okay, this is also called direct cost because these are the amount we have incurred directly to produce the thing. That's why here all the direct things are added together. So this is called prime cost. So here you can find that prime cost is the total direct cost of the output or goods or services. That means it is the total direct cost which we have incurred to prepare the product. Not any kind of indirect expenses are included in that. Next is, what is direct expenses, chargeable expenses or direct service charges. See, this we have discussed while discussing what is direct expenses and what is indirect expenses. So we have discussed that all those expenses which are incurred to prepare the product, which are directly involved in the preparation of the product, then it is called direct expenses. And anything that is not directly involved in the preparation of the product, then it is called indirect expenses. For example, the raw material which we have used, okay, the dry fruits we are using in the cookies, so the amount of the dry fruits will be direct expenses. Understood? The wages we are paying to the laborers who are involved in the preparation of the cookies, then it is called direct expenses, direct wages. On the other hand, indirect expenses means all those expenses which are not involved directly in the production of the product. So in the question paper, you will have to identify which one is the direct expenses and which one is the indirect expenses. That is a very important thing. Next thing is, we have discussed what is factory cost in the sheet. In the sheet when we were discussing the entire statement, so that time we got that first one is the prime cost and second one is the factory cost. So what will be the factory cost? Firstly, these three are for prime cost. Okay, these three are for prime cost. Now once we will include the factory overhead. What is factory overhead? The factory overhead is the opening stock of work in progress and closing stock of work in progress. We have to add opening stock and reduce the closing stock. So once we will include the factory overhead, we will get the factory cost or the work cost. So what we can say that the factory cost is the aggregate of direct material, labor, chargeable expenses and the factory overhead. Factory cost. So here we have discussed what is factory cost. So once we will include the factory overhead in the prime cost, we will get the factory cost. So what exactly is the meaning of factory overhead? What is the meaning of factory overhead? Here, see, factory overhead means any amount that we have incurred, especially the indirect things we have incurred to on factory to run the entire factory. We are running the factory, and uh, for that we have paid some amount. The best example is factory rent. Okay, we are running a factory. Yes, we are paying the rent. The rent is not directly involved in the production of the cookies. Okay, yes, so it is a indirect expenses. So among the indirect expenses, those expenses which are incurred on factory overhead, factory is called the factory overhead, and those indirect expenses which are incurred on office will be called office overhead. Understood? These two are indirect expenses, whether it is incurred on factory and whether it is incurred on office, both of them are indirect expenses. But the only thing is that if it is incurred on factory, it is called factory overhead. If it is incurred on office, it is office overhead, but both of them are indirect expenses. Okay, both of them are indirect expenses. Here you can see wages of indirect factory worker, factory rent. These are kind of an example of factory overhead. Here indirect factory worker means any worker, okay, who are working in the factory but not directly involved in the production. Just like I have given the example that there is one person who is not preparing anything, not doing anything, but he is directing others to do the thing. Then he is a foreman, you can say. And when we are paying wages to the foreman, this will not be our direct expenses, this will be a indirect expenses. And since the person is in factory and involved in the factory work, so it will be factory overhead. The next thing is the what are the expenses which we do not include in the cost sheet. So these are some expenses you people need to learn. Okay, you people need to learn this. What are the expenses and what are the income we do not include in the cost sheet? These are not part of cost sheet. Yes, we include or exclude it in the financial accounting, but these are not part of cost sheet. We do not include it. See, first is if it is our expenses, then any interest we are paying on loan or debenture or anything. So if any interest we are paying, then we will not include it. The next is if any donation, donation or subscription charges we are paying, being of manufacturing unit, maybe we will have to pay some donation and subscription charges, but we do not include all these in the cost sheet. Next is any income tax or sale tax if we are paying. So we will not include it in the cost sheet. And goodwill written off. So I think you people know what is goodwill written off. So or the preliminary expenses. These expenses you people do not need to include or exclude from the cost sheet. Next is dividend pay. This one is kind similar to the interest paid on debenture. So when we pay the profit to the shareholders, then it is called dividend. So if we are paying either dividend or interest or anything, then it will not be included in the cost sheet. And again, loss on sale of assets. So if this one is of course our expenses, this we will not include in the cost sheet. The reason is that, see, we prepare the cost sheet to estimate the cost of the product. So if we will start including or excluding these kind of expenses, so we will not get the actual amount of cost of producing something. And here our main objective of preparing this kind of statement is to estimate that. So once we will start including these kind of expenses, definitely we will not get the fair amount, we will not get the exact amount we have spent on the product. That's why we people do not exclude these kind of expenses from the cost sheet, and also we do not include these kind of income from cost sheet. See here, the income which we do not mention in the uh, cost sheet. First is same if we are receiving any kind of dividend. Suppose we have invested some amount in any kind of company's share. So dividend which we are receiving, we will not include it in the cost sheet because we will not get the exact amount of exact cost of the product. The same way if we have received any commission or if we have sold any asset, okay, if we have sold any machinery or any spare part and we got some amount, so we will not include it, we will not add it. And any security, suppose we have gave loan or any kind of securities we have bought, so definitely we will get the interest on it, we will not include it. All these are our income. If we will start including it now, then जो प्राइस है, जो एक्चुअल प्राइस जिसकी वजह से हम लोग कॉस्ट शीट बना रहे हैं, वी विल नॉट, द ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ इट नॉट बी fulfilled. The same with discount received or bad debt which were earlier a bad debt now recovered, we will not include all these things in the cost sheet. So you people need to remember, you people may get the question like mention any 4 expenses or cost which are excluded from the cost sheet. So you people will have to mention at least 4. Okay, so in this way you people may get the question. The next one is this one, very important, very important. Difference between cost of sale and total cost. See, cost of sale means the cost we have incurred to produce a particular amount of a product, but if we are making the product saleable and used by the customer, to be consumed by the customer, then we also need to spend some more amount so that the product can be saleable in the market, then it is called total cost. Understood? So cost means exact amount. For example, the cookies, the price of the cookies is 110 rupees in the market and 10 rupees is our profit. So ultimately we have decided, we have calculated that the actual cost of the product is 100 rupees. So suppose 80 rupees we have spent to make the cookies. This is called cost of sale. Okay, so if we have spent 80 rupees out of 100 rupees to prepare the cookies, then it is called cost of goods sold. That means the goods which we are selling to the customer, what is the exact cost we have incurred. And total cost means, so here the rest 20 rupees, suppose we have spent 20 rupees for advertisement and delivering the product to different stores, then this 20 rupees is selling overhead, and once we will include these two, so this will be the total cost. Once we will include these two, then we will get the total cost. And this question is very important. Next question is cost and differentiation between cost and costing. This I will not explain again. The reason is we have discussed it yesterday. Next is easy one. Elements of cost. Elements of cost. हाँ, जो cost sheet है, the cost sheet which we have discussed in the first session. So what are the different elements of it? So there are 2 elements. One is direct, the another one is indirect. Indirect, there are direct material, that is the raw material, and direct labor or the wages, and direct expenses. These 3. And ये जो है, this one, indirect expenses में क्या आ जाएगा? All those amount we have spent on factory, on office, and to make the product saleable. So these are all indirect expenses. See, you people need to understand what is direct expenses and what is indirect expenses. But again, you have to think, you have to be very clear that if it is an indirect expenses, so ultimately from which category it belongs, whether it is a factory overhead, whether it is a office administrative overhead or a selling distribution overhead. Understanding what I'm trying to say, all these are indirect expenses, but you people have to understand that exactly क्या ये फैक्ट्री से है, क्या ये ऑफिस में लगा है या फिर सेलिंग में लगा है. तो you have to be clear about it. The next, again important, distinguish between direct cost and indirect cost. I think one of the most easiest question. What is the difference between these two? So the amount we have incurred to prepare the product, it is called direct cost, and the cost which is not identified, that means which is not incurred directly to prepare the product, okay, this is called indirect cost. For example, if dry fruits, okay, so on the cookies we can see, acha, these are the dry fruits, we can easily identify it, but the amount we have spent, we have gave to the foreman for directing, so kya that amount will you be people, will be able to identify? No, then it is called indirect cost. So what are the example of it? There are some example given, just cost of raw material, wages to the machine of operator, and here wages of foreman, factory rent, all these are example of indirect cost. So this is the only difference. This again I am not going to discuss. The reason is we have discussed the objectives of costing. So there we have discussed 5 points. Now there is no point of discussing again the advantage of it because it is similar. So we have discussed all the things, all the theory related to the cost sheet. Okay. And tomorrow we will discuss this cost audit. Cost audit. Understood? And again some other costing theories there. We will discuss that. Okay? We will discuss it tomorrow. Now that's it for today. Anyone, if you people have any problem, you people can ask.